Good morning. I wanted to take a minute this morning and talk about the Masters. Not the golf. Nobody cares about the golf. I just, like a lot of you, I'm sure, when you're starting a project like this, you go on YouTube and you start hunting around and the trick to YouTube is, pretty much anybody can post anything, right? So you got to go out there, first of all, find people who are doing similar things and work the way you work. That's important. There's some people out there that'll wham bam slap shit together, scare you, just like, wow, no. And then there's other guys out there that are, they're detailed to the nth degree. So, you got to find people that work like you work, working on similar things. And I spent a lot of time before I started this and continue to reviewing stuff. And, there's a lot of people out there that have their content and work on that they've put on YouTube helps me enormously. I can't even begin to tell you how nice it is to see somebody do what you're getting ready to do before you do it. So you know what to expect. You know that, that little hole right there never lines up, so plan to grind it out. You could spend 30, 40 minutes just trying to figure out why that hole's not lining up. But if you realize it's never going to line up ahead of time, hey, sweet, move on. So, that sort of thing is a big deal. And from time to time during this build, I'm going to stop and just give a shout out, pay homage, say whatever you want. But it's important, I think, for people to understand, because, part of my problem was just finding the people that are doing similar things. So if you've come across this channel, I appreciate your patronage, and obviously, subscribe, like, share it with everybody you can. It does help. But I wanted to give a shout out to the guys that really helped me out, especially in this phase of the build, like whole panel replacement build stuff. And of course, there's Juby Mays at Amazing Sheet Metal, him and his wife Erin. They even run a Tech Talk Tuesday. They run a live show every Tuesday. If you're into this sort of thing or you're doing it, you should be checking them out. They did a great series on an entire ground up, catalog delivered Camaro. That's all posted, but they also do a live tech talk every Tuesday, and you really get to engage with a lot of the community that's behind this stuff, and it is a community. I mean, these people are all super helpful. Like, I can email Juby, he gets back to me, or even talks about whatever my question happened to be on his show. Great people. Just it's really nice being in a community like this, because you're not alone. There's people that'll help you. There's people that answer your questions, and that's one of them. The other one that I got so much content out of is Roger at Mr. Fireman 164. He is a first responder by trade. Really super nice guy, great dad, but he's done a number of Camaros. And his Camaro content's quite good. I like to think of Roger as the exorcist of rust. If there's a place that rust can hide, Roger will bust that seam apart, seal it up, and weld it back together. He leaves no seam unturned. It's almost obsessive at that point, but it's really cool because he works. He does really quality work. He really frets the details. Knows his stuff, good welder, and now because of him I have to buy a TIG. I told my wife this morning, she's thrilled. Anyway, Roger's a really good guy. There's John at Vinyl Village Garage. John is another one that's super helpful. Has done a number of full panel replacement, partial panel, patch panel, and a bunch of Camaro, mostly Firebird content specifically. And he's another one. I mean, you can email him, and within 30 minutes, you got a picture back with a tape measure across the piece you ask him to measure. Great guy, super helpful, really cool guy. The others I watch on a regular basis is Louis at First Generation Garage. Louis has a number of projects. Louis doesn't, he does some full panel replacement, but he has a lot of really awesome content on like patch panel and, partial panel replacement, which I wasn't really into here, but his content is so good. And a lot of other things, first gen related stuff. Good guy. Jeff at James Freddy's, a lot of awesome content on full panel replacement. Ken at Paradise Bay Customs, another really clever guy, does a really nice production too on his videos, really well. Someday we're going to see Ken with a television show, at least we should. And then there's Elrod's at Elrod's Garage. That guy's also doing a pretty ground up Camaro, a lot of full panel replacement, but slightly different. He had more to start with. So he's not having to replace like everything. He's got some stuff that's still good. So real good guy, good content, works like I work. Pretty awesome guy. And then there's Ricky and Zach at Rusted Up Garage. There's rumored they have some Camaro content coming. Come on guys, haven't seen it yet. Backstory on that, Ricky used to be on my race team, and back when the old Just Do It Right there, back in 99, 98, 2000. And anyway, Ricky's a really good guy, really has a lot of fun. Him and his son are fully engaged in hot rodding and custom stuff, and it's a nice life. It's great to be part of that community. And like all these guys, everybody does things just a slight bit different. I do things different. Sometimes it's for expedience, sometimes it's for expense, sometimes it's because I'm just lazy. So you gotta judge what you see and roll with it, right? And that's the way it is. And I am not a professional. I have a long racing background, but I haven't done street cars or street rods for many years. Mostly back in high school, I had a 56 Chevy and Camaro and all kinds of, doing stuff like that. But, what I do is just the way I do it. I'm not claiming that it's the right way, the wrong way. It's just kind of my way. And, I base what I do on success I see online. And that was the reason for this video. I just really wanted to give a shout out to what I'm doing. And, a lot of these guys, you don't need a lot of this fancy stuff. I mean, I happen to have a buddy who had a rotisserie. I was going to build a frame jig, and then I found this one online cheaper than I could build one. So, things kind of pull together. And I do recommend if you're doing any of this, you've got to jig it. You have to jig it. It is the only way forward. But, I'm not crazy with all this stuff. I mean, here you go. This is a welder. That's my welder. I bought that at Sam's Club back in 1992. And the thing's still kicking. I can't kill it. I don't know. So someday she'll lay down. I'm sure of it. But, it is what it is. But, it is super handy having a lift and all that. I get it. But you don't need that stuff. A lot of these guys online are all doing this without lifts. I mean, some of them have them, some of them don't. But it isn't necessary. If you're clever, you can make pretty much whatever you got in your shop work for this type of stuff. It is a lot of fun. I do this for fun. I'm an engineer by trade. I do not do this for a living. But I do like it, and I do enjoy it, and it allows me to get my hands dirty. So anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out. All of these links are down for these different subscriptions I'm talking about. Subscribe to these guys. Tune in. See what they're talking about. You'll gain a lot of knowledge, and they have saved me days and days and days of labor and studying and trying to figure out stuff, just because you pull something up and you're like, oh man, that doesn't line up right. What's that all about? Or like the thing I ran into the other day on the floor panel, like this driver's side, the bottom of the floor panel wasn't flat. It had an arch to it, and that would have been like, oh, is that okay? What I do, what do I do? But then I happened to catch an episode on Mr. Fireman 164, and he talked about that, and he saw the same thing. He flattened it out, heated it, shrunk the flange, and everything was good. So I knew, I got in here, I checked it, sure enough, same problem. Yep, got to fix that, but I knew exactly how to deal with it. And, just put a little board under there and a bottle jack and boom, popped it up, heated it, shrunk it, everything's good now. So yeah, things coming back together. I just wanted to give a moment to, give some homage. And, I try to do things right. I try to do things, set a good example. If I half-ass something, well, I always regret it, so I try not to. Anyway, getting through it, I will log off here and start getting this chassis body frame made it up to the floor. I've got the front going, but we'll go from there. Later.